Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum (TEIF) and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution series, The Emerging Lawyer. Theme is Corporate Challenges and Triumphs, Balancing Law and Life. We have a special guest with us, Rajveer Singh, a distinguished corporate lawyer specializing in private equity, venture capital, startups, general corporate advisory, data privacy, and employment law. So Rajiv is an independent consultant and brings a wealth of experience and insights. Currently, he's servicing cast24.com. So, friends, it will be a lovely conversation because he being a legal professional, envisaging a lot of work, a lot of activities. So, Rajvi, just wanted to explain your format. We have got 3 rounds: professional, personal, and a surprise rapid fire round, for which you get to win this ebook authored by me. I'm an author of 12 ebooks. So you will get it autograph if you answer all the questions wittily, funnily, and quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's begin.
Yeah.
Rajvi, your first question. What motivated you to specialize in corporate law,
Wow.
particularly private equity and venture capital, and how has your journey been till date?
Wow. I mean, corporate law happened slightly when I was into law school. Like, I wouldn't say like I joined law school thinking that I'd become a corporate lawyer one day. Like, I'd always wanted to be a litigator. That was my thing to write CLAT for the first time. But eventually, like, once you get into law school, right? I mean, like, there are a lot of internships that you do as a law student. And that also like kinds of gives you like a lot of exposure to areas of law which you had no idea about, right? So we all used to do internships in law school, and I remember like in my second year of law school, I did an internship at Lexington, Bangalore, and I mean like it was a 2 months internship, and it was a three lawyer firm at that time, and Mr. Vijay Samvarthy used to lead the team, and particularly in specializing into private equity and venture capital. So that was the first time where like I was actually exposed to PVC, M&A, and the corporate side of the law in my second year. So I just decided that this was like a niche area, and this was something where I really enjoyed having conversations between investors and promoter side, sometimes representing investors' interest, sometimes representing promoters' interest, right? And to be able to fight for a common goal, which is for someone something big to happen, right? And we all want like companies in India to grow, right? We all want from the nascent stage till like when the company hits the unicorn stage or great valuation becomes multiple revenue. We all want that for like startup founders, right? And somewhere in between, if we can complement that particular journey and make their life much more easier and happen to provide like a solution oriented approach to everything that they're into. So yeah, I was always interested into this particular angle of law, and where like business was also merged with the legal concepts, and I'm like thankful to my stars that like I actually did that internship at Lexington, and like I was exposed to all right the coffees here. When our coffees come in like this.
Fine, fine.
So yeah, so and thereafter, obviously, like after Lexington, there was like a lot of other internships that I did in the corporate sector. And I decided that I will get into the corporate side of it. Luckily, I got placed in my fourth year in my law school and got into Singh and Associates in the corporate team under Mr. Neeraj Dubey, like another gem of a person and a partner. So yeah, like learned under his tutelage and like got into the practical side of it, got into the flesh, like had dealings every day, and that was just really motivating. And I'm just like happy that it's still going on right now. Yeah,
You have
sure.
now established yourself as an independent consultant, which is a new concept in the legal industry. Uh, so, what are the activities of an independent consultant per se, which will help uh, whoever wants to establish instead of their own practice, they can start their journey as an independent consultant. So we would be eager to hear from you.
No, I mean like see, let's not talk about the fact I would want that to remove from this particular meeting, Amit, which is that I am actually, my role right now is at Cars 24, right? And I am handling the investment transactions as Cars 24. I'm doing the debt financing transactions at Cars 24. So I'm totally associated with them at the moment. Yeah, so we can remove that particular part of it, or else I can still tell you the role of an independent consultant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please. That will be helpful for me and for others who want, because other industries have got independent consultants established over there. So,
Yeah.
what are the a role of an independent consultant per se? In general, so you can
Yeah,
say.
so I'll tell you. So before joining Cars 24, I was actually doing independent at that particular point of time. I worked independently at a few friends of mine who were growing businesses at that particular point of time. They always wanted, legal support, right? Now, like, obviously, when you go to places where, there is an influx of promoter groups coming into, right? Let's say, like, I used to register myself at the ICC, the Indian Chamber of Commerce, right? And I used to go there every Thursdays, every Fridays. To just like meet people, right? And there'll be a lot of people coming from different part of like the world over there on like these seminars. So we'd obviously get into it. Now, you have to understand the legal market in India is heavily dependent on lawyers, right? And unfortunately, PVC and M&A is a space which is like you can say it is not concentrated like that well where there's a handful of people providing those services to you. So unfortunately, there are not many choices. So you can never get a cost-effective service, right? In that particular phase, if someone comes in and like gives that service, which you would expect in a tier one law firm, right? That will always attract you and always have an impact for you to get like new clients. So a lot of like my own clients that I built at that particular point of time, it was solely because I was able to hit the spot where they would hurt the most. They'd be like, okay, this I'll tell you an experience of mine. Um, a client of mine again, like they were at a very early stage, and they were done with the pre-seed round, and they were going to the seed round. There was a VC coming up, which was in Switzerland, and there was a whole lot of angel investors that were coming from different parts of the world. Right now, obviously, because the company would obviously need a person who could take care of all the compliances. Let's say FCGPR filing is one day. Now, if CGPR gets affected on a regular basis, even if it's 1 rupee, 2 rupee changes, right? And currencies fluctuating every time, right? So there are a lot of cases where FCGPR filing is like not up to the mark. So if you can just get hold of that particular part and provide that particular service, there'll be a lot of investment coming into India, and you'd obviously help to complement them. You have to identify the pain point, like what is the real pain point is in this particular case. Okay, documentation, I would say, is not the pain point because you can get it made very easily, and obviously the negotiation part, which that's a bit depending on the investor interest and the promoter interest, right? But with respect to the entire journey of a transaction, end to end, right from your term sheet till your closing. And I wouldn't even say money hitting the bank is the closing, right? It is a lot of other things, a lot of compliances thereafter, right? Now, in the legal world, obviously, since lawyers are trained in a way where a lot of compliances related stuff is not educated, like they're not being educated about it. Like I would say my own journey where I went to a law school and I didn't know what form filing was, right? Having been graduate from the top law school of this country, I didn't know what SH4 filing was, SHBR filing was. This all I got to know once I started doing the work, right? And that is where, today diversity and all of these things coming in the picture can really help the investor group. So that'll always attract. And if you keep this approach in mind, you'll always get clients. And start going to places, just start attending incubator programs, just start going to conferences, right? Reach out to people on LinkedIn. There's a lot of like Dubai market people who are ready to make investments in India right now. The situation has literally changed after 2015. Till 15 it was only India into Dubai. Now Dubai is into India till after 2015. There's a lot of IO work going on right now, and having like an understanding of that can target you with that particular aspect also. So yeah.
It's an interesting journey and a lot of tips you have shared. Okay, how are a lawyer who wants to specialize in the field of startup or private equity, venture capital, M&A, so many things you have shared, how networking helps, and you have been doing all those things. So now my next question is related, I'd like to devote a particular segment to the actions of M&A and private equity. So like working in on a private equity, we'll take one segment. What are the key, how has the market evolved over the years for private equity, and how are the companies like startups or other companies more keen for going for private equity, venture capital, and how people like law firms and like legal professionals like you helping them to get the right amount at right percentage, stakes, everything.
Well, like that's also that differs. That's very, very subjective. I mean, I know what you're trying to get out of me by saying that. I absolutely know that. But like, I mean, like you really don't have choices, right? Like in these things, right? I mean, market forces sometimes can be different for different industries, right? So, and in today's world, I mean, typically if you see to the Indian market, you would find that investors have also become very, very area centric. You only see an investor which is only investing in a tech entities, right? So it's very difficult for that investor to support a non-tech industry in a market that is not supporting tech at that particular point of time, right? So sometimes a lot of it also has to go with the market forces. Luckily in India, we have a very big market. So everything that we do, we always do and we always get the numbers, right? It's about how implementing the role is. But to summarize your question with respect to that, it is always up to the promoters. Like as a lawyer, I'm telling you, it is always towards the promoter's interest of a company. And to all the promoters out there right now, I mean, like whenever you're going for fundraising transactions, especially in your seed rounds and Series A rounds, try to give very few control bits to the investor part, right? I mean, like things like reserve matter, veto rights actually matter a lot when they are funding transactions, right? So yeah, it's always up to the promoters, and we're there to complement them all the time.
My next question will be, you have played a major significant role at Cast 24 for their funding part. So how the journey has been, and what uh, what experience you gained from working on this high profile VC deals?
Yeah, so I mean, like again, like in when a startup has grown to a level like Cast 24, right? I mean, it's unreal what they've done. I mean, like it's you can say that when the time that they started to the time that they're now, like the growth you just see, like it's there, it's visible, right? And I happen to work with respect to the best people in Cast 24, and like they're all smart and intelligent people, and like it's very, very fortunate to be able to work in those with such companions. So our work primarily is with respect to bringing money to Cast 24, and like we have various transactions going on a daily basis. You can say, like you see, and these are all material transactions that go on. And it's also very important to understand that not just Class 24, any other unicorn would always want capital to innovate its business, right? So it's always a good team that requires to get you the capital into the business, and to a level where the company has actually become unicorn now is going to go, looking to go to public at a point of time. So, I mean, like, it's a very, very interesting journey and time for the life cycle of Cast 24. And like, things are just going upwards right now. So I have to like my journey and to be able to understand the lawyer's journey is also with respect to how well he could also complement like a lot of business leaders, right? You'll see like leaders trying to cut deals, cut the multi-billion-dollar deals, right? And there's a lot of like support involved in that particular thing. There's an entire team working day and night to have like a green signal deal. And to be able to crack those deals, right? It's always like interesting to see. And but again, like if you want to do something like this in the legal space, right? I would always advise people to actually learn that particular transaction first, because then ownership comes into picture, right? And ownership gets you the respect that you want, right? And ownership will only come once you own that particular work by doing it correctly, right? So you need to actually learn that particular transaction, work under a lawyer, work at a law firm, work in an in-house company, right? Learn how transactions are done, learn how mergers are done, right? Get a good grasp out of it, and then go with your own thing, wherever you want, right? And like learn the craft. Yeah.
Wow, super. So that's wonderful thing. We have with Cast 24, many things have been achieved, and they are now at a growth stage, and many more achievements are in place, which will be they will be achieving.
Yeah.
My next question will be related to a young startup or any
Yeah.
other startup. What common issues or how do you face, and how do you overcome working with startups who have some inhibitions and you're dealing with emotions?
I mean, like, with respect to the promoters, you're saying?
Yeah.
Promoters, I mean, like,
Founders,
obviously
promoters.
now, there's nothing to tell them. Like, look, honestly, like, I've like through past 24 also, I've gotten a chance to meet so many promoters, right? Like, I've been doing the VC transactions also here, right, for all the promoter groups, right? So it's like, promoters don't need to tell you, you don't need to tell them anything these days, right? They've already done their research. Like, I'll tell you an example. I was talking to a promoter the other day, right? And I was, because it's a drill, right? I take them through the mechanism, I take them through step by step, term sheet bits, okay, done now, long form blocks में क्या होगा, right? वो सब बताना पड़ता है. And like, I'm not getting that promoter shook me whether he knew everything. He told me full ratchet, anti-delusion. He told me roofer, tag, drag, everything, right? And I was like, you don't need to hire a lawyer. So promoters are very, very, and that's there. Like I've seen that with promoters, like who are always passionate about business, and they take care of everything, like literally. And I was just amazed. And I actually like to work with such promoters, right? Like to be able to help them build something which they're so passionate about, that they're learning my work also, so to make it easier for me, right? So that always helps, right? Um, and like I also got to know through a lot of investors that promoter group always have recommended the other promoters to the investor group once they do, and an investor will always trust that. If an investor invests in a promoter who had made him a lot of money through subsequent, like multiple cash flows, right? But the business has just grown. Invest that promoters what was taking. That is the promoter segment. I'm happy about it.
Wow. So that is for startups. Now let's come to high stakes clients. What strategies do you employ to manage high stake clients? So some tips from your side.
I mean, high stakes clients. See, I'll tell you, there's no such thing called high stakes client. Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like you'll get a person who like wouldn't add that much of a value, but he's your client, right? And like at the end of the client calls you at 2 in the night, also you have to pick up, right? And you have to be at his service, right? As lawyers, we always have a mix and match option. We'll always end up with few and like work with a few and like a lot of them, right? But like a journey cannot be identified through one inflection point of time. Maybe that person is going to do wonders in 1 year. Who knew? I mean, like, you really don't know that which person can be a high stake client at that particular point of time, right? And the best part is not to like worry about it. Just be like kind, just be good, just be like humble, be at the service, and like make sure that they don't like have any issue with respect to the legal part of it, because you're there, right? Because that is your thing, right? And you're there to help them out. So yeah, that is it. Otherwise, you can also send them like gift cards maybe on Sundays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, who was who has influenced you from the legal world, and that impact has been profound.
Oh, wow, a lot of them actually. I mean, starting from law school only. I mean, like I wasn't the kind of person who would always get influenced by anyone. Like I would say, like I wasn't influenced at all. Like I think the most I was influenced by were my own friends, my hostel friends. I think they were the only people who could influence me in law school. And yeah, I mean, but like there were like a few of my professors who was always like what always admired. I would say there was admiration at that particular point of time for a person because you weren't doing that work at that time. So you'd always have an idea of what this area looks like, what it is. You know, this person is giving us so much about this particular area. So that is an admiration part. And like once you start working, right? So there was obviously Mr. Neeraj Dubey. He was at a partner at this law firm called Lakshmi Kumar and Sridharan at that particular point of time, and he had just joined Singh and Associate, and I was the first associate to be put under him. So it was amazing. Like like my theory, whatever I had learned at that time, like I was able to execute them into into practicality. And Mr. Dubey would always like spend time and tell me what every clause really means. Like he told me the importance of a lot of other clauses which you negotiate upon, which I had no idea about. So obviously, somebody who gives you that particular kind of importance and gives you that time for them to see you, you'll always be inspired, right? And you'll always want them to work with you, so till today I have like great connections with them, and that connection is always there. And obviously, when I joined Vertices Partners after that, and Vinayak Burman, we used to call him, and we used to do like crazy deals at that particular point of time, and we used to close transaction in 10 days. Like this was the selling point at Vertices, that we'd close your transaction in 10 days. So, like a whole group of people under Vinayak Burman, and like having intense negotiation, having calls after calls after calls, right? Like having 16 to 17 calls in a day. So it was an intense ride, but a very, very fun ride, because that's where it actually mattered the most, because there are fundamental years. And at that time, if you get that particular skill set under a person who is a veteran, it really helps you in your professional career, right? So, yeah. Okay.
That's interesting. So now, Rajveer, your areas of work uh, keep on evolving. The corporate law sector is evolving day in, day out. So how do you stay updated with the current scenario, the laws, what are happening, and which helps you in your work areas?
I mean, like as lawyers, we're supposed to read every day, right? We're supposed to actually you'll see like there's subscription. I was literally looking at an intern these days, and that person had like Bloomberg and a lot of like other news sites where market information and a lot of like legal information would come to you, right? And as lawyers, we're supposed to do that every day, right? What we see is that it is getting changed, obviously, right? Like I particularly worked upon cryptocurrency at a point in time, and how cryptocurrency got changed, how from neglecting to actually bringing a law into picture and bringing like setting up an entire bank out of it. Like there's a civility coming, right? So and the kind of boost that will give to like a lot of like AI platforms and a lot of AI enabled startups, right? That would always be complementary, right? And that would always be an addition to it. And you always find it much more challenging, because for them it may be it's new for the entire country, it's new, right? Like for the law is, so it's obviously new for the lawyers also, right? And to be able to complement areas, such areas where everything is new, you really don't have any precedents also. So obviously it's challenging. You're supposed to be updated. You're supposed to read every day about it. You're also supposed to sit with the people who are actually doing it and understand what entire thing is. Like I had to actually understand what blockchain is, right, to be able to work on a crypto transaction that I was doing. So that is how law is like ever evolving, right? When like now we have a privacy law also. like right after the IT Act, like I mean, came, and like now there's so many other obligations that have come into the picture. So and to be able to implement in such a manner that every private company would have to do that, and it's a big thing for Indian economy, right? I mean, like to be able to implement a law that could have severe penalties on you and total compliance of the law, right? And now again, like what is expected out of us as in a class 24 also, there's a whole bit of compliance team sitting and working towards a efficient implementation of the data privacy law, right? So yeah, this is the ever evolving nature of law, and and who knows, like tomorrow onwards, like there'll be drones delivering Swiggy orders to you, like at your place, right? And there'll be a drone legislation, and that was already in picture, right? So it's new, it's challenging, obviously, but but in a situation where it's new to everyone, lawyers are still supposed to know better, right? And there's in a way that promoters would be able to, it's like this person will correct me. So you're supposed to be on your A game all the time. Yeah.
That's interesting. Keeping updated. Now I'm coming to my next question. You have worked with different promoters, different key stakeholders. So,
Yeah.
what kind of strategy do you employ to having a healthy work relationship with different kinds of people?
So I mean, like it's like with the promoters, it's always like uh, and a battle somewhere when you're representing a promoter, investors centric approach to that, and the investors you're representing, because investors really bank upon you, and vice versa, promoters have also got to look at their lawyers if they want, and they are also banking upon them. Promoters lawyer would always want minimum control, right? And investor mindset would always want like a fair bit of control to be able to just to be able to understand business, right? Better, like there should be flesh in the game, right? And it's sometimes it's a war. Like I wouldn't say it's a peaceful journey when a transaction happening. There are intense bit of negotiations, particularly in transactions where like there are existing shareholders into picture, right? And they would also get their own lawyers, and you really can't affect any other right exploitation, and you want to keep it to yourself. You want to give it to very few people who match a certain particular threshold in the company, right? So it's always a fight, right? But always you always want a better deal out of it, right? Everybody wants to play on fair terms, right? The in PVC space, particularly venture capital stage, investors are coming to the mindset that there would, at particular point of time, there would need to be an exit opportunity as well. Even though venture capital investor would never want to exit from the company, right? But you would always want a right giving them to go for an exit if you want to, on better valuation, on better price point, right? So that is always helpful if it is clearly also negotiated and documented well enough in the documents, right? So, and between if there's a fight, there are always like better trade-offs that happen, and we can always come to a solution at any point of time in any transaction, right? So it's always fun, but when a transaction happens, when the money hits the account, when the shares get allocated, when both investor and the promoters, they become common shareholders of that particular company now, right? It's a different feeling altogether, right? And that is where you really compliment them, and they that relationship is built. Okay, it's a relationship that is built out of a lot of effort, right?
Interesting, interesting. So, Raji, how has technology helped you, and which legal tech tool has impacted your work?
Mhm. Technology, I mean, like it has helped me. It has helped me a lot, right? I would say like Pixies, since again, a lot of like the transactions that are happening, right? A lot of transactions can actually be done away with if right technology is used at at right particular of time, right? So there are a lot of like tools the market at this particular point of time that can help you. But even though when you use those tools, and even though you do that, right, you'll get like what you want basically. But till the time that human touch is not there, into those documents, right? Because you're actually getting assurance, right? There's a trust factor involved. So you need to have that human touch as well, right? It'll obviously make your job easier, right? It'll obviously help you get work done easier. But I believe like that human touch is always necessary in those particular transactions because tomorrow you're not really gonna blame technology like if anything goes wrong. So it's your flesh in the game also. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Rajveer, what advice or tips you will give to a young lawyer who wants to establish his career in the field of venture capital and private equity?
Start doing internships, contact people, contact me. Like I'll get you internships. Whenever a person contacts me on LinkedIn also, because I sometimes recall my own days, like when I was interested into this particular area of law and I want internship very badly and I didn't have any connect. I was a first generation lawyer from my family. And I really had to work hard for my internship. I know how difficult it is getting internships. And that is the only way how when you can actually get exposed to these areas of law because it's so niche, right? So, like, contact people on LinkedIn, write papers, right? Make your CV more beautiful, make it more comprehensive, right? Show that you're interested into private venture capital. Actually, that is how because I used to just do internships and make sure that through this internship I get another internship also because that will always add a better value in the CV, right? Without having done now, I have one point where I've done that thing in that other area of law. So internships, read papers, right? Read about deals. There are a lot of like websites like VC Circle, Bloomberg, Monarch. Like you can obviously learn par invent codes, Series A transactions of a lot of startups, and you'll see like the full law firms also which are involved in it, right? So just be updated, just be exposed to all of these areas of law, and make sure that you also have the right connect in your LinkedIn and you reach out to them at a point of time that where you are going to get into this, right? So yeah, that is it. And obviously for people like like for people in law firms, they'd always want good interns, right? They'd always want like interns who would complement them at through some time, right? And you'd always want to also skill them up, right? So internship is the best way to actually make it into private equity and venture capital.
Very true, very true. It helps you define your next steps.
Yeah.
Okay. So, friends, let's learn Raju as a person.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the round one, the professional round. Now let's go to the round two. That is the personal round. So we get to know Raju as a person. Yeah. So Rajvi, who are the most important people in your life and how did they support you?
Wow. Family, obviously.
Yes, very true.
Family is the most important, right? And then like who's our family? So my brother, like I'm very close to him, and Dushyant, like he's there, and my whole bunch of friends, right? Because we're lawyers and we are very small time because we've gone to law school. So the initial fundamental years of my life, it always like the growing stages of my life was always amongst people who would eventually become lawyers. Right. So my best of the friends are still the people who I met in law school, right? And yeah, and it's very important for all of us to make sure that those relationships because they're so pure, right? Are maintained, and all of us do understand like how the life can be, right? Like, and we're working in different cities, and we're not in touch for like 1 year, 2 years, and everything. And they're still like, whenever we meet, it's like the time that we had just left, right? So yeah, so yeah, like they always have a good impact. Yeah. So, and professionally also because a lot of my friends became like corporate lawyers, right? So there's I'm not naming anything, but like there've been situations where the other party's person was my friend. So like there's a lot of like banter, there's a lot of like professional guidance also that you can get
Yeah.
from our friends, and yeah, they've always been like supportive. And my family, obviously, because they always, I mean, like, they've not never said no to me for whatever I've done till now, right? They've always
Wow.
let me do whatever, right? Like, because it's a very, because I come from a very humble background in from Jaipur, and you obviously have dreams, right? You need to do something big, and you need to take like your legacy big and everything. So it's always then like I wouldn't say like there's a whole lot of things that I have in mind and like my friends, my partners have in mind, right, to be able to do and provide a services with, right? And just for the family to be able to accept all of these things on a regular basis. Sometimes I've given shocks to my family also. Like 2 in the night, I've given them shocks that I've quit my first job. Biggest shock that they've received till now from me, right? So my family never thought that I would be able to get a job after my first job. So it's always like fun to have them totally madly accept you with whatever you're doing and trust you and being there. So yeah, like this year was tough also. I mean, like my father passed away this year in uh, in February. I mean, like it was like tough on us basically at that point of time. And but like how like you see motivations everywhere. You see motivations to like in the next person you're talking to, right? So all of these things matter, and then I mean, like we're lucky that that comfort is there.
Okay. Uh, you travel a lot, and which is a favorite travel place, and why is that place special in terms of, let's say, food, culture? So let's hear it from you.
Wow, I have two places in mind. One is this place called Mount Abu in Rajasthan. And I mean, like growing up in Rajasthan, that was our go-to place. You'd go, we want to like 2 day trips. So like our family would go to Mount Abu, right? Because that would be in Jaipur. So like I will always be excited about it. So I always, I'm like whenever I have a 2 day thing coming up, I think about going there. So that memory is there, and maybe because it was too fickle and at that particular point of time, but that initial stage of me, what a vacation looks like, right, was always that, right? And second is Shillong, actually, most beautiful place in India. I mean, like I feel Northeast is beautiful. Like I think like every other city in Northeast is actually very good. And the luxury that we used to have, like NUJ's Calcutta boys, and very close to the Northeast. So we'd go to Shillong and go to Northeast on a regular basis. So I mean, like that was actually where like we'd explored everything in Northeast. And yeah, I mean, like it's beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. So let's recap your time spent at West Bengal National University of Judicial Sciences. So, what memories does it bring to you, sir?
Oh my God, I'm in NUJ's.
Yeah.
You know, I'd always heard about NUJ's, and I never thought that I'd make it. I was pretty much at it, but I'd made it already and I'd gone to it, but and I had like a very different idea of it because I 1 year back, like my friends had cracked it and they'd gone to different law schools and like stories I would have. When I wanted to NHS, I found it's a different world altogether, right? It's a place where like literally anything is happening and you'd see like cool concepts getting delivered every single day, right? And on top of that, the most biggest priority over there is to be able to live your life like the way you want to. I think the biggest takeaway from NHS has been that like you can be at the topmost, but you can still have the luxury to do whatever you want to in today's world also. So choices really matter, and how to be able to take those choices on a regular basis, right? In law school life, it is all about choices, right? What person, what lawyer you want to become. That is the biggest question in law school, right? So, and that's a lifelong decision, right? I mean, like that you'd obviously want to keep it that way, very fundamental stage. So that is there. It's always you'll see people from different states of the country coming on, and like you'll see people on the most remote part of India. You'll see on the west part of India. You'll see diversity like anything, right? In 100 students of batch, and you'll meet friends. You make friends, right? You'll always you'll get exposed to so many things in life, right? and that gives you confidence. That gives you exposure. Always gives you confidence, right? So I believe that was a big takeaway from NUJS. Also, time has a fleeting nature, I would say, right? Like I never wanted law school to end. None of my friends, none of us wanted law school to ever end. Like that was a utopian dream. Like that was a very little dream, but it had to, right? So, time, yeah, because when we had joined, I was 17 years of age when I'd gone to NUJS and I was in Calcutta, and like at 17 and back, totally stranger in this big city, and like a place like NUJS, the met friends, made like brothers out of them, right? And then to be able to live your life till 23, right? 22, right? So that is always like challenging. Once you pass like at least 2, 3 months, then you start realizing how beautiful this place is and how lucky you are to be able to spend like 5 years at this place, right? So, and obviously, to be able to also get exposed to, prestigious conferences, moot court scenarios, like, debates, right? You will see them, you meet them, right? And like that will always expose you to a lot of things. So NHS was good. Met, we used to play cricket with our professors. We used to, yeah, we used to do a lot of things. Like we still remember the person, Bijuda, who used to be us, and after every class, everybody would go to Bijuda. Entire energies would be at this particular person's, in front of that particular person's stall. So these are memories that you take away, obviously. I had gone there recently and there's a client work that came up in Calcutta and I'd gone there and I thought for one day though I'll go, for 1 hour I'll go to NUJS for sure, right? Like I have to go there. I mean, like there's a new set of people now. They hardly know us, right? But you obviously know that Biju knows you, and you knows that a lot of other people still know you, and they know that it was over, and it feels nice. But always like there's a piece of heart that's always there, right? And yeah, I mean, like there's always like good feelings about it, and like nobody really, you know, I mean, like we will all be thinking like in my bachelor courses, like what I be that take place at AQTS, and God knows when. Yeah.
Wow. So Rajveer, how do you spend your weekends or free time to unwind and relax?
Weekends, I mean, like, if I have a weekend, I mean, like, honestly, lately I haven't been able to get any weekend also. But I mean, like, I just try to keep it very, very peaceful. And I would like to, like, if it's a 2 day thing, then I'd just like to be at home. That's it. Like, I would want to watch Netflix. I would want to catch up on a lot of things. Like, and, like, keep up with a lot of shows, right? So I like that. I go to places in Gurgaon. I live in Gurgaon. Gurgaon is a great city to live in, right? Gurgaon, you'd see every other street there are like new places opening up, and you want to visit all of these places, right? And yeah, luckily a lot of my friends are also in Gurgaon, and the flatmates are also like they're in Gurgaon. Like we all catch up on weekends and we meet, we party, and yeah, I mean sometimes we also go to like places for our own transaction related stuff, right? We'd go to a conference, we'd go to a seminar, attend and rather give a lecture on, be a speaker at any conference. And these are our weekends are. And yeah,
That's
luckily
interesting.
now it's always also for me is that since the expressway has been made up, Jaipur Delhi Expressway, like I literally take like 2 hours to go to reach Jaipur also. So I come to Jaipur also. I spend time with my family for 2 days, and then I go back to Jaipur and then continue with my work. So there's the weekend. But like I was actually thinking of taking one weekend off and coming to Bombay and meet Amir, like and have a
Welcome,
coffee,
welcome,
real time in
welcome,
the shop.
Rajveer.
Yeah,
Welcome. Okay,
sure.
to the travel side,
Yeah.
uh, I like from your bucket list. I'm just going forward for you for 2024 from your bucket list. What do you like to
Sorry.
do from your bucket list? Anything
Yeah,
you want to do? There are 6 months remaining.
yeah.
You want to do like which will be on your top priority and going to complete in 2020?
At Class 24, when we started like this year, we thought that we'd close 300 crores. And we are there, like almost there. We need to write that off from our bucket list for sure, because that is the first priority that we are going on. And we had already, we believe in manifestation. Like we do manifestations every day, right? And we work hard towards like, achieving all those manifestations. So, and bucket list is one such manifestation where that 300 crore didn't happen. I want to tick that off, right? And yeah, like visit Goa, like in the later half of the year with friends, and be lucky if that happens because a lot of my friends are abroad right now, and they'll be coming up in the winters, and and a couple of other conferences that are there. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So my last question, describe Rajveer in one line.
Explorer, yeah, explorer and startup enthusiast. Yeah.
Very true. So let's go to the surprise, the rapid fire round. So you have to be very quick. Delhi or Bangalore?
Delhi,
Okay. Morning person or night person?
night person,
Tea or coffee?
coffee,
Let's
coffee, yeah. Mine's done anyways. Yeah,
Okay. Books or movies?
movies,
Okay. Your favorite color?
black.
Your favorite Netflix series?
I mean, like, come on, there are so many, like, you can't say that, yeah, but please. Money Heist, yeah, Money Heist.
Okay.
Lately, but there are a lot of other things. Breaking Dawn is also Netflix, yeah. Breaking Bad,
Okay.
sorry.
Your favorite cuisine, food dish?
Asian and Indian, yeah.
Okay. And your favorite sport?
Cricket,
I knew that.
yeah,
So you
absolutely.
handle very well,
Actually,
Ravi.
we had a very great cricket team in NUJS. There used to be a trilateral tournament between NLF, NUJS, and NALSAR. And we all used to travel each of the law schools like on a regular basis, on a yearly basis. And it was very considered very, very prestigious. Okay, I mean, like they always used to practice really hard. So I was in the team and we had a great run, yeah.
Yeah. So you get this book, which will be delivered to your place, autograph,
Yeah.
and just go through that and share your inputs. So, friends, we had a lovely time and conversation over coffee with Rajveer Singh Agri, he has got an interesting life, interesting corporate legal world he's been servicing. So a lot of insights he has shared on startups, VCs, private equity. So do watch this episode, which will be available on the Coffee Conversation Show on YouTube. You will get 150 plus episodes with different subject experts we have in the 4 years journey. If you want to be a speaker at our Coffee Conversation Show, visit our website, theemergingindiaforum.com, fill in the form, and our team will connect with you. So it is an interesting conversation. We look forward to having with another speaker. Stay connected and be happy. Thank you.